The Road to Harmony. It was the kind of late September afternoon where the air felt crisp, the leaves had just begun to turn, and the world seemed to slow down, as if giving everyone a moment to breathe. Margaret Walker sat on the porch of her small Vermont cottage, sipping tea and staring at the tree-lined horizon. At 58, she had reached a point in her life where most of the big questions had been answered, yet somehow she felt more uncertain than ever. Her children were grown, her husband had passed 5 years ago, and retirement had left her with too much time on her hands. The days blurred together, and though she tried to fill them with books, gardening, and the occasional visit from her granddaughter, there was a lingering sense of emptiness she couldn't shake. She wondered if this was all there was, just quiet days and quiet nights, watching the world move on without her. One morning, while sorting through a box of old photographs, she found a letter tucked between the pages of a faded album. It was from her college roommate, Claire, dated 1985. The letter was filled with youthful exuberance and plans for the future. At the end, Claire had written, "Remember, Maggie, life's about the detours, not the destinations. Don't be afraid to take the road less traveled. You never know what you might find." Margaret chuckled at the memory. Claire had always been the adventurous one, the one who encouraged her to step out of her comfort zone. But Margaret had chosen a different path, one of stability, routine, and predictability. Now, as she sat there holding the letter, she wondered if Claire had been right all along. Later that afternoon, Margaret received a call from her son, David. He was planning a road trip with his family to Colorado and wanted to know if she'd like to join them. "It's been a while since we spent some real time together, Mom. What do you say? It'll be fun." Margaret hesitated. The idea of leaving her quiet life behind, even for a few weeks, felt overwhelming. But then she thought of Claire's words and the emptiness that had been gnawing at her heart. Maybe this was the detour she needed. A week later, she found herself in the passenger seat of David's SUV, her granddaughter Lily chattering excitedly in the back seat. The landscape changed as they drove west. Rolling hills gave way to vast plains, and then slowly the majestic Rocky Mountains appeared on the horizon. Margaret felt a sense of wonder she hadn't experienced in years. Their first stop was a small town called Harmony, nestled in a valley surrounded by towering peaks. The town was charming, with its historic buildings, quaint shops, and friendly locals. As they explored, Margaret noticed a flyer for a community music festival. Harmony's annual folk festival, celebrating life, love, and music, it read. Something about the flyer caught her attention. She had always loved music, though it had been years since she'd picked up her guitar or sung in front of anyone. Back in college, she and Claire had formed a folk duo, singing at coffee shops and campus events. But life had taken its course, and music had become a distant memory. That evening, the town square came alive with the sound of guitars, fiddles, and voices raised in song. Families gathered on blankets, children danced in the grass, and the air was filled with a sense of joy and community. Margaret felt a warmth in her chest, a spark she hadn't felt in years. As the festival wound down, the host invited anyone who wanted to come up and share a song. Margaret's heart raced. She hadn't performed in front of an audience in decades, but something inside her stirred, a longing to connect, to create, to feel alive again. Before she could talk herself out of it, she stood up and walked to the stage. The host handed her a guitar, and she strummed a few chords, her hands trembling slightly. Taking a deep breath, she began to sing, a song she hadn't sung in years, one she and Claire had written together in their dorm room so long ago. The crowd fell silent, and as her voice filled the square, she felt a sense of release, as if a weight she hadn't even known she was carrying had been lifted. When she finished, the applause was thunderous, But it was the look on Lily's face that moved her most, pure awe and admiration. From that moment on, something shifted. The trip became more than just a vacation. It became a journey of rediscovery. Margaret found herself laughing more, trying new things, and even striking up conversations with strangers. She realized that life wasn't about waiting for the next big thing. It was about finding joy in the small moments, in the detours that lead us to places we never expected to go. And as she sat on her porch, sipping tea and watching the leaves fall, she felt a peace she hadn't known in years. Life wasn't over. It was simply waiting for her to take the next step.